In the early days of the Second Age, the wind outside High Hearth keened like a mourner. Snow blew in eddies along the cliffs, lashing against the blackened stones of the once proud hall, where a fire had not been lit in over a year. Within, the silence was heavy, holy in its own way. Caeltharion lay propped upon silken cushions, dulled scales like faded sunlight beneath a frayed woolen blanket. His breathing came slow and shallow, rattling in his chest like embers in a dying hearth. He had been the last of his line for some time now. The gold-scaled children of Bahamut had gone first in the years following the Red Dawn. His mate had grown cold and brittle within a month of the weave's collapse. His sons gone. His daughters faded. There were none left but him, and even his flame had shrunk to a flicker. Around him stood what remained of his companions, warriors once, kings and queens of their own tiny domains, now old, bent, or broken. Valandil sat close, clutching Caeltharion's hand in his own. The human wizard's once regal robes had been patched with linen and travel cloth. His staff, inert for decades, rested against the hearth wall like a withered branch. He had spent years trying to feel magic again. Decades, but the weave no longer sang to him. "I thought, perhaps this time," Valandil murmured, shaking his head. "The solstice, the stars, the ley line. We tried everything. We always thought if anyone could reignite the fire, it would be you." Caeltharion gave a faint smile, toothless now. "I did. For a moment, a flicker." Another stepped forward. Sir Halbrecht Varn, the tall, silver-haired paladin, knelt beside the dragonborn. His armor, though still polished, was ceremonial now. The power of his oaths had faded with the god's silence. He had not heard the voice of Theros in half a lifetime. "You were the finest of us, Cael," Halbrecht said, bowing his head. "Even without wings, you still bore us aloft. I still remember the siege of Iron Soul Hold, how you shielded the entire east flank with your breath and your blade." Caeltharion's eyes glinted weakly. "You always glorified me too much, old friend." "Not nearly enough." There was a pause. Then Halbrecht's voice lowered, rough with emotion. "When you go, some part of that world goes with you. The world where paladins heard their gods, where justice burned in the sky and the heavens answered. I don't know if we'll ever hear them again." A breath passed between them. "But I swear this," Halbrecht said, placing a hand on Caeltharion's brow ridge. "If you see Theros in whatever lies beyond, tell him I am not finished. I will keep the faith. I will pass the code to my son, and he to his. Our line will hold the light until the day the voice returns." Caeltharion blinked slowly, eyes rimmed with tears. "Good," he rasped, "good." From behind them, Elira, tall, hawk-nosed, her rusted armor still marked with the white sunburst of Celiar, stood silent. She had said little on the journey here, but now she stepped forward, her voice low and trembling. "I never thought we'd see the end of one of us," she whispered. "We buried kings and broke tyrants, but I never imagined we'd bury a dragon." "You won't," Caeltharion said softly. "There is no tomb for the last child of flame. You'll scatter me, on the wind, in the mountains. Let the bones of dragons seed the world again." There was silence again, broken only by his ragged breaths. Then, suddenly, light. A golden shimmer kindled in his chest. Not fire, not exactly, but something deeper, ancient, the spark of the soul that once breathed magic into all things. For one brief moment, the others felt it too, like warmth in the marrow, like hearing a note from a forgotten song, and Caeltharion spoke, though his voice was distant now, as if echoing from a higher place. "The cage is not eternal. I see it now. The shell that bound the weave will break, shatter like glass beneath the heel of dawn. The breath of the world shall surge forth again. Magic will bloom like spring across stone. And we will return. The skies will burn with gold and bronze and crimson. Children of flame will rise, not from eggs or bloodlines, but from hope." He looked to each of them in turn. "Live until then. Tell them. Tell your children's children. We are not gone, only waiting." The light flared, then faded. Caeltharion's eyes closed, and his chest rose no more. They sat for a long time in stillness, not yet weeping. The kind of silence that only death and prophecy can make sacred. "I felt it," whispered Elira. "By Celior, I felt it." Valandil stood and turned to the others, a new resolve hardening in him. "Then we must preserve it, that fire, his memory." Halbrecht nodded. "Not just his memory, his oath, the vow to endure until the gods speak again." "I will return to the chapel in the Weeping Valley," Elira said. "It may be dark now, but I will keep it standing, for the day the light returns." Valandil looked down at Kael'Tharian's body and gently closed the Dragonborn's eyes. "And I will write his story," he said, "in the old tongue, not on paper, in stone. Something the centuries cannot burn." And together, the last companions of the First Age watched as snow began to fall through the broken roof above.